Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Acid Capitalist Christmas. Oh, shut up. I mean, I just hate Christmas. Special? What's so special about it? Nothing, I tell you. And don't you just hate it when the markets are closed? It's like when the football, when they play international games and the domestic game is cancelled. Christmas is an eternity of nothingness. So yes, this is Hugh Hendry, and as always, I'm broadcasting from the one place where the sun, it always shines on Christmas Day. I'm talking about St. Bart's. And I'm not going to say it's, oh God, did I just say Christmas again? It's an infection. It's like that bet I had with my boss back in, when was it? I'm thinking of Prince and I'm thinking of partying like it was 1999. I'd been to another investment conference. I mean, what else did I do back then? I seem to have gone to a lot of conferences. Back then, I wasn't rapping about the Bobby Digital. I think it was the autumn of 99, somewhere just outside London. A really nice country house. The trees, they were losing their foliage. And get this, there was another hedge fund manager there and a Scottish guy too. I mean, at that time, that was quite an astonishing concentration of Scottish financial probabilities. But anyway, the other guy, I mean, he was banging on and on about how he was best friends with, artists, best friends with politicians, Mr. X, Mr. Y, spending the night in an igloo with the Nokia chief executive. Now, that was a really big deal back then because Nokia was one of the largest companies in the world at that time. Yeah, Finnish mobile phone company, biggest company in the world before the iPhone. And this guy, a Scottish guy, not me, the other guy, he was bullish on Finnish mobile telecommunication. And I was not having any of that. As you know, we were months, people. We were the autumn of 1999. We had almost reached the summit of insanity. The end of Nokia was nigh. The stock was on the verge of falling more than 90% and never recovering. Why? Do I have to bore you about my Chinese cousins? National champions, strategic industries, profitless prosperity. We'll have more to say about that later in our EM section. The Chinese way of global domination. Sounds like a poem. Anyway, so I need to wake up my mind this beautiful Christmas. It is Christmas. And I've not had a coffee yet. And I can hear cockerels cock-a-doodle-dooling. Anyway, back to that conference. So I said to the guy, well, at least Nokia, at least it's better than the bloody Carphone Warehouse. Carphone Warehouse, that was a kind of recently listed retailer of mobile phones. And my comments, that didn't go down well either. You see, the Scottish guy, I mean, he was like a financial plague. He just seemed to manage money for everybody. And he certainly knew the owners of the Carphone Warehouse. But unperturbed, I was like, I mean, yeah, who would buy a retailer of mobile phones? It was just a really shitty business. At least Nokia is the master of this big, incredible country house. I mean, I think the house is going to crumble and fall apart, but at least it's Nokia and it's the master of its domain, whereas Carphone Warehouse is a mere financial note on the sins of financial speculation as we center and approach, the top. Carphone Warehouse, I suggested, is just the butler pouring the wine at lunch in the house of Nokia. Well, the boss of Carphone, Charlie something or other, he heard about my little put down. I wonder who told him, like, oh, the Scottish hedge fund guy. I mean, you just can't trust anyone. And Charlie was very definitely deranged because he demanded a sincere apology. Retribution, some might say. The guy was downright very, very angry. I mean, some people just got no sense of humor. So picture this. I'm sitting there. It's, okay, so we're not in the Hollywood mansions anymore. No, we're sitting in my first hedge fund office at Odie. It's about 2:00 in the afternoon. US markets are close to opening at 2:30. And I've got a phone, one of those tax-free jurisdictions, those shitty Channel Islands off the south coast of England. Oh, forgive me if anyone lives there. Commiserations. I've never liked those places. And if you want tax-free, I mean, just live in the best place. Live in St. Bart's. But anyway. And everyone it's my boss's office at the time, and they're all listening in. They're gathered to see just how many times that Hendry Hugh _ at Bloomberg or something. Bloomberg? What? How many times can I say sorry on a call begging for forgiveness? Because they were threatening to pull the money, and that would not be good for my career. And one of my traders, I think it was Danny, he even made a market book on the two-way action, the high, the low. I think the bids began on long 100 sorries, short 100 sorries. And the call was literally broadcast live across all 5 floors of the Mayfair office. And I can tell you, fortunes were won. Fortunes were lost on my sorry count. But do you know what? Whilst I said sorry a lot that day, I think my trader counted 152 times. Yeah, I've not had the need to say it too much ever since. Hallelujah, my brothers and sisters. Now, I hope you don't mind me freebasing. I hope that's the right term. I hope that's not some sexual innuendo and I've just got it completely wrong. And why am I suddenly speaking very, very quickly and not breathing? Okay, hold on a second. Because it's Christmas morning and I'm reminiscing. I'm talking about the first things that come into my head. I feel like a kind of Christmas Robinson Crusoe. Last night, I tried this last night. It's not easy. On the most joyous evening, the eve of Christmas. And, I was like just trying to get into character and lay down some stories. And my neighbors in the condominium, I mean, they're having a party, champagne corks are popping, George Michael and Last Christmas blaring, literally. And me, little me, I was trying to get my storylines so I can do what? So I can speak to my buddies. I can speak to you guys and ladies spread out fantastically across the world. I am honored. Anyway, I hope you don't mind. I'm irritable. I mean, my kids literally they used to call me Grumpy Dad. I mean, they probably still are. I've always got a long list of things that irritate me. I think this year is longer. Maybe it's living on my own. I've got too much time. I overthink everything, like toilet seats in luxury hotels. I sit at one every day. No, I don't. I mean, I don't literally sit at the toilet every day, but I do sit at a luxury hotel every day. The Eden Rock here in St. Bart's, a glorious and a beautiful place. And it's my office. People actually think I'm a permanent resident in the hotel. I mean, I should be so lucky. But when you go to the loo at the Rock, the toilet seat, I mean, do you know what I mean, fellas and ladies, actually? The seat, it should descend slowly. It shouldn't slam shut. It should have a mechanism that controls its descent. I mean, again, I'm freebasing. I'm thinking mechanism controls its descent. I mean, this could be a metaphor for markets at the end of 2024. Is there a mechanism that controls its descent? I don't think so. I mean, you should be able to nudge it, just touch it ever so briefly. Like the central banks, they could just have a policy and they nudge and they touch the markets ever so briefly, and it should just glide down. But the cheaper ones, the ones they've got at the Rock, when you touch them, they go wham, bam, they go boom, boom. I mean, they do it one time, yeah. Did you hear that? I mean, I'm doing sound effects because it's Christmas morning. I don't even have a Christmas tree. I mean, no, anyway. The seat just crashes down. I mean, that could snap your manhood right off. And that irritates me. So, Eden Rock, if you're listening, sort it out. And 2025, our market's going to replicate the action, the drama of the cheap toilet seat. Question. You don't see that written in many economists' write-ups, their prognostications for the year ahead. But you know, I'm getting down. I'm still vibing on my toilet etiquette. I find them fascinating places. I mean, you know, I study human behavior, and so loos are one of these theaters. Maybe I should leave it there, but actually, me, my good self, will self, is a humorist, a writer. He's British, and again, a long time ago. 2012 or 2013, another investment conference. And I was truly tripping. I was truly losing it. I hated myself. And I was quoting, and I'll come to it later, but I was quoting liberally from one of Will's short stories. And I was drawn to it. I mean, you know why. I was drawn to it because of the title. It was, and indeed it is an inanimate object, but I'm going to speak to it as though it's a friend because it's been a great little helper in allowing me to navigate and understand the sheer madness of markets. The book that I'm referring to is The Quantity Theory of Insanity. Quantity theory, you get it? Like George Soros. And his book, what was his book called? The Alchemy of Finance. And of course, Soros, the Quantum Fund. I mean, you get it. But Will's book, I mean, George's book is another thing. Will's book, I mean, George's book is genius, right? But Will's book is a different form of genius. And the premise is that there's actually a finite number, there's a limited number of molecules that can support sanity in the financial universe. A finite number to support being sane, that smartness and intelligence, that there's a finite process, a sanity regulator, a molecular brake on our behavior. I mean, do you get it? You dig it? I mean, I love that. And just a gift. I mean, I'm so lucky to find it. Cock-a-doodle-doo. So imagine one part of society, financial society, but it could be the political society. But in markets, say it's me and my fellow band, you lot. We're all oddball thinkers, and we're starting to figure things out. But as we get it, then another section of the financial community, they've kind of got to lose the plot entirely. You could say it's physics. I mean, it's not, but it sounds like physics. It sounds like a universal law depicted in the curves, the crashing, and the sound waves of a cosmic waterbed. I mean, I'm literally making this up off the top of my head, but a cosmic waterbed, I'm thinking that's beautiful. We're going to discuss macro markets like a cosmic waterbed, because in finance, I think it makes perfect sense. Markets are the lunatic asylum, and we're all inmates, whether we know it or not. So think about, I'm still thinking about 2008. Still vibing on my paywall channels, Patreon and Substack. I mean, come on over, people. People, show some love. And I'm going to publish a paper shortly reviewing the final 2 months investment letters. And I was quite surprised, actually, because there's a lot going on there. The December letter, I was actually the first to mention the riots in Greece. Like, a young student had been killed. And I was reading comments that, Greece is a volatile place, but what had gone down, like, people was like, they'd just not seen that kind of intensity. And I was asking, what are the portents that might be carried by these demonstrations? And, flash forward 18 months or so, not even as much. And, I'm going viral, losing the plot with Jeffrey Sachs. And he's like, oh, these hedge fund managers, they love drama, and they just invented this like 2 months ago. And, I'm like, I don't know what you were doing, pompous, tenured professor that can't be sacked. You can be wrong, and never sacked. You were probably skiing, but let me tell you, 18 months ago, and this is the letter, I was in Mayfair at my office. And I actually, do you know what? If it was December, I was probably in Antigua, but anyway. And I was working, and I saw, and I prepared for the sovereign credit crisis that began to envelop us, 2010, 2011, within Europe. Do I want to do madness? I was going to talk about 2008 again. Now we've done 2008. Let's move on. Okay, let's have fun, because I was saying that I was kind of trying to obliterate my career at a hedge fund conference it was Santa Monica. It was 2013. And I was telling you about Will Self and the insanity, the insanity of markets. So the book's protagonist, he's marshalling the quantum theory of insanity. And of course, he finds the solution to the universe. Now, the solution, the great drama of the book is there's this world-famous professor, and he's gone missing. And so the kid, from decoding graffiti, but not any kind of graffiti, the male prostitution graffiti in London's public toilets on the underground. I mean, I'm giggling because you can't make this up. The square root, the integers of the 3597753. I mean, 3, but anyway. I don't know if you recall, but I mean, that why am I going to say that strikes so close to home? I'm going to say that heavens, we've almost had manhood taken off by cheap loo seats, and now we're measuring manhood in the London Underground. Anyway, what I meant was, remember, I think it was like, 6 weeks ago, and I'm in the gents loo around midnight. Sounds like a CD jazz song. I'm in the JFK airport. I think it's the month of October, and I'm about to fly to Tokyo. I am literally the young character in that book. I'm seeking refuge in the male toilets to write my reports, my love letters to you all. And the only quiet kind of port from the constant social storm, the only place I can, because I'm very poorly organized, I should have a pass for the executive lounge, but I'm never organized. And so I found myself at the guys' loos. So just like the book's protagonist, and like I said, he notices that within the gay jungle chat that there are answers that lie in the graffiti that no one dares read. So forget sleigh bells and mulled wine and mistletoe. Meet me here Friday if you're better than 7 inches, because I've got a 9-inch. No, No. I refuse to continue with the graffiti. I'm going to self-edit. Now, it's preposterous, of course, but that's the point. Markets and life are just as absurd, and sometimes really, the answers lie in the graffiti that no one dares to read. So I'd rather send you in the direction of the public toilets than send you in the direction of grandiose investment outlooks for the year 2025 from Wall Street's investment bank strategists. So I was reading this thing, the Book of Great Stories, and it tells me sober reflection. Sober. I mean, I am sober. I sound drunk, but I am so sober. I should be reflecting on my life, the hero's journey. And I think I've done that. Yeah. I mean, I've shared some stories. Yeah. Might come to regret some of them, but, you know, I think we put them down on the tape. I'm not doing this again. This is the final cut. But market stories, we did Carphone, Nokia. We were approaching the top of a historic bubble. We were 24 going into 25. Back then we were 1999 and Prince going into the summit of March 2000. And that was just coincidence, but I like it. They work. Chaos, evolving chaos? Is chaos always evolving? Does it ever really just manifest? Will chaos be more entertaining in the year 2025? I mean, I don't know. I think that question is a bit prejudicial. But let's start with the year that's just passing, because what does the graffiti on the toilet door have to say about the year that just passed? Graffiti, remember, the chaos that reminds us to look closer. So looking closer, 2024 was a year when Tesla doubled, but in a month. I mean, what was it doing for the rest of the year? I mean, I suspect it was having enormous existential doubts about how it would ever become a profitable driverless car and justify the valuation of the stock. 2024, a year when Bitcoin was Bitcoin. It found its groove and it was up a lot. But even there, it didn't really get traction until May, and then it was straight up. NVIDIA. All of these things boomed, yeah. NVIDIA up 180%. But it peaked in June. I find that astonishing. Again, that tragic death of the Greek student. Here I am, December 2024, and I'm saying, what are the portents of the NVIDIA price, which I think from around about the 8th of June has lost all of its mojo and been a bit of a dog of the S&P. So 2024 feels like a year concentrated in intense moments. Maybe happiness, maybe that's the definition of happiness. Concentrated, intense moments. Blink, and you could blinking miss the big moves. I'm sure 2025 will be similar. Happiness or something else. Similar, certainly in its intensity. Blink and you might miss it. Blink if you're caught off guard, you might be down a heck of a lot. Right, where are we going? I got to spark my imagination. The spark from 2024. The big question is, why does the US keep winning? Why is there this exceptionalism about US stock markets? Allocations now, I mean, I think global fund managers have got like almost 75% of their equity portfolios in US stocks, and probably the majority of that is concentrated in 10. I mean, high wire. I mean, we're walking between two enormous skyscrapers. I mean, this is heady stuff. Now, it can't be just because the US is the only economy with great companies. Actually, that's probably it. There's a lot of truth in that statement. America literally has all the great companies. You name me 5 amazing non-US companies. they don't have something very similar back in America. And I spent the best part of Monday looking at Brazilian equities. What a horror story. I'm going to say it again. Emerging market equities are a complete waste of oxygen. May their stocks rest in peace. No, their soul should rot in hell because they have been so outstandingly bad. I mean, the Brazilian stock ETF, exchange traded fund, find it in New York. EWZ, Eddie, William, Zebra, and the EWZ is unchanged over 23 years. I mean, imagine Christmas 23 years ago. Oh, I don't want to do that, actually. Let's do it. Where was I? Okay, I've gone. Markets, the stock price have gone up. Currency's gone down. You've made a big fat zero. Brazil, it's not even exceptional. Malaysia, you name it, all the EM indices are the same. And so imagine the communists in China, they now want you to own their stock market. Why would you be so silly? The last 10, 15 years, all of the positive stuff, the brokers, they give you reasons to buy. Hey, listen, let me tell you about this economy. The GDP is going to zoom higher. The market share, the global market share of its largest companies going to rise. Inflation, we don't have to worry about inflation. Interest rates, they've peaked, they're falling. Currency, that currency is as stable as the Rock of Gibraltar. Growth, we got lots of growth. And all of that has come to pass. And stocks over there have been a complete disaster. So they managed to get their local stock market higher on the year to date. But versus 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, like Brazil, it's a market that just goes nowhere. So American exceptionalism or American pragmatism, the profitless expansion of the rest of the world. Give me some, Uncle Sam. Hidden propellant. I'm trying to, would you believe there is some assistance? I do kind of take notes. And my show notes, what do I mean by hidden? Hidden. Out of view. Propellant. Isn't that something that fuels skyrockets? I think what I'm trying to prompt myself to say is that there's something deeper to the US exceptionalism and the extraordinary outperformance of American stocks. What could it be? Transparency. Great contract law. You know where you stand in the distribution of returns. As an equity investor, you're pretty much in a good position vis-a-vis the vested interest to come out ahead. All of that, that's a good thing. And the leaders in tech in an era where tech went interstellar. Now, I am not talking, and I'm not going to give mention to the Federal Reserve and notions of easy monetary policy. I think that is a black hole of nothingness. Instead, God, it's beginning to flow. Instead, I want to talk about the structural distortions created by the very unique and remarkably under-discussed dollar currency regime. The dollar currency regime effectively replaced the gold currency regime, which ended in the 1920s. And vis-a-vis the Chinese, is in its third decade. What do I mean by that? I mean 1994, the Chinese they devalued their currency, and then they said, no more devaluations. We're going to keep this currency nice and cheap. And I think that the behavior of a menacing sovereign in a gigantic market, which came to almost determine the price of the US dollar globally. I want to say that this action has seen the laws of economic gravity like float away to Mars. Because the world of macroeconomics, it hasn't come up with any good explanations to explain the world of macro for at least 30 years. Today, macroeconomics is dead. So, the end of the year question, the essay topic. Am I now going to write the essay when we want to end the podcast? Let's see. The huge, and it is huge, manipulation of the foreign exchange market. Yeah, it's massive, it's hostile, it's a non-market force determining the price level and the volatility of the dollar renminbi. It's being determined not by market forces, but a Chinese government, a government that's determining the price level of the US dollar. It's not supply, demand, it's not fundamentals. And the numbers are enormous. This is a really big deal, and no one talks about it. And you know what? When the price for something that's so enormous, and when it's so enormously wrong, the mechanism, for establishing the value of the renminbi versus the US dollar, when that becomes abstract, when it's made up by shadowy power centers, by the machinations of Chinese monetary policy. I mean, I'm sure they think it's bloody genius. But this brings me back to, if we really want to do bloody genius, let's call a friend, right? Let's bring down Mr. George Soros, and let's let's vibe on the quantum theory of finance. Because Soros, what did he say? He said that markets, I've got this memorized, markets don't reflect reality. They distort reality. Don't you love that? They don't reflect, they distort. That the act of participating, of buying that overpriced stock or shorting it, that you're not observing reality. No, you are reality. You're the one that's warping it, that's messing it up. Fascinating kind of matrix-like concept. And thankfully I read this a long time ago, as I came to learn that the financial system is just not a rational construct. This is why we got acid capitalism. And forget 1984, like I said. Forget George Orwell. Forget George Orwell. We've been trapped in this totalitarian, hosted, sourced FX regime since 1994. China's quantum lunatics and its exchange rate price. So the really, really big question is, was it the Chinese Communist Party willingly, is that a word? Willingly, perhaps? I think that's what I want to say. Willingly or otherwise. Has the CCP been the force that amplified US exceptionalism? The hidden monetary force responsible for powering US stock prices higher. I'm talking about the remarkable rise and rise and rise in the bloody S&P 500. So hidden propellant. Hidden was China, the hidden propellant, the monetary rocket force that fueled and boosted the rise of the S&P. May I remind you, I never trust myself. I always got to look it up. The S&P has risen 60 times. It was 100 in 1980, and today it is, 6,000, give or take. So, bloody marvelous. The Chinese communists, the hidden propellant to the Wall Street gain. Again, like the graffiti on the wall. You can't make it up, and very few dare to read it. And I want to say to you that by allowing the Chinese to set one very, very significant FX price, I want to say that outside the market regime, and this is a question, but the global regime of price setting in risk markets, have we allowed the Chinese to contaminate the global price setting mechanism, the price of everything? I want to say that because the price of money seems to have lost its bearing on reality. There is no CPI. What is CPI? Consumer price inflation. It's supposed to be the original sin. Bite on the CPI red apple, and boom, we've got wage inflation and secular stagnation. The CPI and the original sin is hocus pocus. And what remains of the surging consumer prices from COVID, I believe it's fast receding. And the good folk, they're not getting the wages, the rises that they need to sustain economic growth on this planet. But there's plenty of API. There's plenty of asset price inflation. Again, what did I say? The S&P 500 is up 60 times since 1980. Been with us for more than 5 decades. We get one inflation measured and seemingly controlled by central banks, the consumer price inflation. And the other, the asset inflation, it gets measured and celebrated by central banks. A system money made mad, where wisdom is reduced to notions and potions and the lunatic fringe. And you can see why the quantum theory of insanity rings so sadly true. Because tell me, and genuinely, this is the other great question at the end of this year, where should bond yields trade in America? Or where would they have traded without the Chinese fix? Because this is a really pertinent question. My Niederhofer rule of 5%, the US Treasury bond is very close to yielding 5% once again, which is to say it's trading pretty close to the price lows, and it's been atrocious in 2024. Remember, I was talking about my atrocious performance in 2008. The contrarian investor's life is one of the atrocious ascent, the atrocious and at the end very rapid ascent into heaven. So let's see. But wise heads, the ones, my God, this is such a long podcast. The wise heads, the ones that second guess themselves, even second guessing. Yeah, so if you're second guessing, you're asking yourself. So the question would be, is the Niederhofer rule of 5%, is that just another huckster? Another thing which is really a function of the Chinese FX fix, the dumbing of money? Is this why? I mean, actually, there's two parts. So Niederhofer is a function of the Chinese FX fix. But I'm increasingly sympathetic to Stan's notion, the Druckenmiller steepener, that in the absence of China's foreign exchange, non-market price setting, that US bond yields, they might actually trade in line with nominal GDP growth after all. So they could, today they're like 4.4. Stan thinks it could trade 6, 7, 8 if Trumpian, hope and all that nonsense sticks, which I actually don't think it will. So I'm sympathetic to Stan, but I've got the audacity to say to Stan that I think he's going to be right one day. He's always right. And I think bond yields could trade much higher than today's level. But for now, I think we're stuck with a global leverage system that can't handle 5% sovereign yields in the USA. That if 5% really bad stuff begins to impinge on the global economy, that more people get intelligent. And does that mean less people or more people get then insane? The thing has to balance. For now, I want to say we're stuck in the middle with you or the TLTs. I think they'll have a move, a recovery. Anyway. Is there an end in sight? FX. It's Christmas morning and I'm talking about financial exchange regimes. But it's a huge distortion of reality. Some people take drugs to distort reality. Financial markets, they just have the Chinese government determine the FX rate. So are we in a world where your currency is the result, not of economics, but of a sovereign script? Dreams of global domination. We're trading under an abstract regime. We're not observing reality. We're warping it. Irrational, reflexive modern finance. I'm now doing poetry for the end of the year. We've lived for 30 odd years with a Chinese hall of mirrors where the perception shifts the reality. So, let's end. The big question at the end of the big year of 2024 is with regard to the Chinese. Are they set on a pivot? They're going to jettison this policy of of determining their overseas price, their exchange rate vis-a-vis the dollar. Are they pivoting to being absolutely obsessed by domestic prices? This currency fantasy of 30 years, this fuel, the hidden propellant of American exceptionalism, a form of capitalism on steroids, with the hidden supplier in Beijing. These questions have got to be scratched, sniffed, asked, considered. Do we have an FX or a communist doping regime? So, for the outlook, every system, no matter how extraordinary, eventually every system, commercial or economic or natural, is going to reach its zenith. And when it does, the crash is always as spectacular as it was unexpected. Just like the ascent is the nature of markets, is the nature of life. People, shall we meditate? Shall I suggest to you, as I sit here alone, it's a stunning Christmas Day morning, and I'm staring at the endless blue of the Caribbean Sea. And I'm thinking that you and me, that we don't have all the answers. But what we've got really good questions. What happens when the Chinese stop buying US risk capital? No more purchases of the US Treasury. What if they're going to just buy local Chinese assets? Does the global stock market mood, the mood music, does it stop? These are the questions for today. They're questions worth holding on to as we head into 2025. The answers, they'll reveal themselves when they're good and goddamn ready to reveal themselves. Good luck, my brothers and sisters. The spirituality of curiosity, I'll leave it. And I leave it for you to decide. And you know what? Have a wonderful Christmas, my acid brothers and sisters. Kisses and big hugs and mistletoe and frivolics to all of you. Thank you very much for listening. This is Hugh Hendry, and we'll go into the acid breath. Let me help you. I hope you're sat comfortably. They say it's important that your back is straight and upright. I don't know. Normally, I just lie in bed. I'm not trying to force anything. My eyes, they say your eyes should be open. but my eyes are wide shut. And I'm taking some deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. So I hope your chest is expanding. And as the breath passes through your mouth, the muscles soften. The stress is being released. And with the next exhalation, let's just allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. And if your eyes are open, please close your eyes. Come on, I dare you. And here's the cool thing. Can you feel the weight of your body pressing down? Can you feel the gravity? The energy that's always there, but we're simply not conscious of it? I want you to relax. I'm sure you can hear sounds. Let them pass. Let them go. Don't pay attention to them. Notice them by all means, but let them pass. And as your attention returns to your complex body, notice how are you sad, or are you lying there happy? How does your body feel right now? Tired? Or do you have a sensation of lightness? The Unbearable Lightness of Beings, a great book by Milan Kundera. If you're like me, you've probably got some restlessness in the body, some twitches, pangs. But without trying to change anything, just be curious. And it sounds like a science fiction movie, but let's do the body scanner. Starting at the top of your head and moving down through your body, searching out your feet with that curiosity to discover how your body feels right now. And now let's shift that attention back to the wonders of our breath and its movement. A movement, a Swiss clock, is always there in our body. Just where do you feel these undulations, these rising peaks and troughs of the breath within you? We're searching the sea of tranquility. I promise you, it's close. Can you feel it? Some form of rhythm? Where is your breath? Is it irregular? I certainly hope not. Is it short, shallow, or is it deep and profound? At this moment, only you can tell the secrets of your eternal echo chamber. And now, pursuing this infinite journey of the breath, I just call upon you to stay focused on the breathing. Have you got, I can hear it, I can hear thoughts invading your mind. That's cool. Just let them go. Focus on the breath. Focus on the breath. Still, allow those thoughts, those invaders, let them come, let them go. But gently, my friends. Just bring ever so slowly your attention back to the breath. In and out. Don't force it. Just let it be. Noise is everywhere. But where are you? Well, let it go. Now, no more focusing on the breath. It's getting boring. Let that attention go as well. Let it all hang out. Go on, let your mind run riot. Let it focus on anything. Okay, my friends, come on, wait it in. Let's bring it back. Attention. The body. Where's your body? Again, feel the majesty of the weight of your body pressing down. Your hands, your legs, your arms. Come on, people. Let's wake up. Let's be aware of the space, the sounds, the smells. Do you feel the sensations? A new beginning, a stirring? I don't know. But if you're ready, I beseech you to open your eyes. You have officially completed an asset capitalist magic carpet ride. Your grey matter is ready for the challenges that await. Be curious, be playful, be mischievous. Until the next time, the asset capitalist bids you goodbye.